Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome back to another real life zoo inspiration video. Today we are taking a look at the wonderful Arctic fox and let's just dive into the first zoo right away. And the first zoo is going to be Rotterdam Zoo or Blijdorp, and we are in the Arctic area. You may recognize this of course from the real life zoo tour episode from a while ago. And here we have the Arctic fox habitat, a wonderful netted over enclosure with a chain link fence with a beautiful stream going through it, right down the middle, going out of the habitat under the walking path for the guests. I love it when zoos do that. It's one of my favorite things. It's done a lot. It's not even that rare, but I always love seeing it because it's just so cool. Like, oh, this water is been touched by the animals, maybe. I don't know. There's a little outpost or like outcropping over here where you can also have a closer look at the Arctic fox, as well as the polar bears, which on the other side. But we're not interested in those. But only thing I'm interested in is the fox habitat, which does interact with the polar bears in the sense that it is actually on top of the underwater viewing cave of the polar bear. But that's about it. One more thing I want to show over here is, I think I showed this in the real life zoo tour as well, but during the winter the stream was all frozen over, and I think that just looks really cool, so I wanted to show that. But that's it for Blijdorp. Let's move to the next zoo, and it's definitely the worst one on this list. This is the Parc Animalier du Bouillion, or de Bouillion, I don't even care even. same joke as last week, whatever. Here is the Arctic fox habitat. I mean, this is just sad. It's by far the smallest in this video, and it is, yeah, it's a depressing little mesh box. What else is there to say about it? I guess it's cool that it's kind of in the hill, like the side of the hill is also side of the enclosure, but nothing is really done with that to make that a feature or interesting. It just looks sad, and the fox looks cute, I guess, but that's really all I can say. There's not a lot of good to be said here. It's just kind of sad. So let's quickly look away from that, and we're gonna go to the next zoo. This is Dierenrijk, and Dierenrijk is also not one of my favorites. It's a little tucked away, small enclosure. We're in between the two polar bear yards is a little bit of space where there is this Arctic fox enclosure over here. It is quite nice in the sense it has some tunnels, it has a bunch of enrichment. Over here you got another view of it, different time of the year where the fox is actually outside. And we're also going to have one more look at it in a second after we watch this fox walk around a bit, because they did make a couple of changes to it. I was here again this year, and within the last year or two, some changes have been made to the zoo overall. Some viewing areas have been cleaned up a bit. No major changes have been made, so it's not worthy of its own video. But we can see it right about now, where they've added a little extra barrier to prevent people from going all the way up to the glass. And the glass viewing has been, decorated a bit more in general with this wood on either side and stuff like that. But the habitat itself is still the same. So yeah, that's it for Dierenrijk. Next up we have the Caves of Hun. And the Caves of Hun have a amazing, just absolutely enormous enclosure for the Arctic fox over here. I mean, that's kind of their thing. They're like a wild park in a way. So just really big enclosures for all the animals here, and the Arctic fox are definitely no exception. And what's really cool as well is you can see these rope bridges in the back. You can actually kind of go through the trees. There's like a tree top trek. Sadly, it was just as I was there under maintenance, and just as I was past this point, they were right about finishing up that maintenance. So I was just unlucky, but I didn't want to stick around too long because I had places to be. I was trying to visit 2 zoos in one day when I was here, and this one was definitely very big, so I had to hurry up. But I really wish I did go on that tree top trek. Why do I have so much trouble saying that? Over here we can see the Arctic fox lying down over there. It's surprisingly, despite how big the enclosure was, it was very easy to spot them. They were right on the visitor side, just hanging out over there. So yeah, really, really cool. I absolutely love this enclosure. Just by the size alone, it's on the top of my list probably. Yeah, really, really awesome. So let's move to the next zoo. And that is going to be Zoo Kleve. This is another small zoo right across the Dutch border in Germany. And yeah, they've got a decently sized Arctic fox enclosure over here with some nice landscaping in the middle. It's very kind of, yeah, comparable to other things we've seen in this video. So for that reason, I'm going to just call it an average Arctic fox enclosure. You got 3 little viewing points for this mesh. No degree of like glass viewing areas or anything like that, like we have seen for some other things. But yeah, you can get a decent view, and you can get right up to the mesh, so you can definitely get a good view of the fox. And the bottom of the mesh does have some extra fine mesh. For very good reason, because of course you can get all the way up to it, which means that if you're not careful, you might get a bite from the Arctic fox. But yeah, the fox seemed to enjoy its space quite a bit. It was running around, constantly climbing on top of this log, which was really, really cute to observe. And yeah, over here you can see just how close you can get up to the fox, so that extra fine mesh down there is definitely necessary, especially for little kids. So yeah, pretty cool enclosure, nothing to complain about with this one really. I quite enjoyed it. So last zoo on the list already, we are in Lille, right next to the Muntjac is a lovely Arctic fox enclosure, and yeah, really nice one over here as well. It's quite spacious once again, with just some simple chain link and some glass viewing areas over here as well, so you get an even better look at them without any obstructions of mesh, which I always do enjoy. I like having both options, you know, having mesh so that you can deal with not having reflections, and having glass so that you don't have to deal with looking through mesh. Yeah, is always appreciated. And yeah, it's a nice enclosure. There's some plants. I like how it slopes up. Yeah, don't have much else to say about it. It's very lush, very cool, very nice, and foxes were walking around all happy. I also like this little viewing area over here. It's a bit of a weird combo, having a muntjac and then an Arctic fox, but who am I to judge? This is a lovely little area. And yeah, you can walk alongside the mesh side of the enclosure as well. And there's another window as you come through here. And I'm really grasping at straws here. I don't know what else to talk about. So we're just going to wrap up the video over here. I hope you all enjoyed seeing some Arctic fox inspiration. There is more habitats out there that I haven't visited yet. So maybe at one point in a far future I might make an addendum to this video or something. I still don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm at the moment kind of skipping animals that I know I'm still going to see habitats of, like the armor leopard. I think it has at this point been skipped because yeah, there's at least 2 more zoos I want to visit this year that have armor leopard. So once I visit those, we will definitely have that video coming out. But until then, we're just gonna move along the alphabet, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, which is another Arctic animal. So that should tell you which it is. So I'll see you then.